In this video, we're digging into the real Taurus sun sign, not just the cozy, lazy, sleep-loving, food-loving stereotype that everybody jokes about. No. You are so much more. So we're going to dive into 5 of the primary traits of a Taurus sun sign, ones of which you don't typically hear. And we're going to finish the video off with 2 empowering tips if you're a Taurus sun so you can live more in alignment with your soul. Hola, beautiful souls. Welcome back or welcome to my channel, where we merge the cosmos with self-development using astrology, spirituality, and wellness to become our highest selves every day. If that sounds like something you're interested in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. That way you don't miss future videos like this one, as well as follow me on social media for extra background content and astrology content. You can follow the link in the description to find my birth chart readings and download my free astrology cheat sheet, which makes astrology so much more digestible for all of you. Today's video is all about the Taurus sun sign, and what this means is that at the time that you were born, the sun was moving through the constellation of Taurus. But before we dive into the Taurus sun sign, I'm going to hand it off to past Marisa to talk about why the sun is so important in astrology. First, let's talk about what the sun means in astrology. The sun is one of the 2 luminaries in astrology that are considered one of the 9 planets in astrology that shape who we are. The sun is considered the planet of our individual identity and the ego self. The placement of the sun in our birth chart governs our identity as an individual, what makes us unique and separates us from everyone else. The symbol of the sun actually showcases this, as the circle itself represents infinity and everything being intertwined, whereas the dot in the middle represents the separate self. It is through our sun sign that we're able to uncover our personal identity, who we truly are at our core, without the influence of anything or anyone else. It indicates where we find our sense of personal power, purpose, and overall direction in life. The sun gives life, so the sun sign is what gives us life, what makes us feel fulfilled, and what makes us glow. The sun is literally where we derive our life force energy. Now, let's talk about the general traits of somebody who has sun in Taurus. It's important to remember that Taurus is the fixed earth sign, ruled by Venus and symbolized by the bull. Number 1, they are the primary vital foundation builders of astrology. Like I mentioned in the Aries Sun video, Aries rules over the first house in astrology, which essentially rules the first moment we come into this lifetime, meaning Aries is associated with a very young age. A lot of Aries have a very youthful energy. Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac year, meaning that they are also a very youthful, young sign in nature. However, whereas Aries is the initiator, the one that trailblazes new paths and new projects, Taurus is the one that really buckles down and builds something tangible for the long term. Essentially, they can take whatever Aries discovers in the world and actually bring it into physical fruition, especially considering that the second house in astrology rules over possessions and values. However, it's not just possessions in terms of what we possess materially, but it's more so the values that we possess, our inherent nature. Based on what we discovered with Aries energy, we are now following that up by forming our own sense of values. Taurus really symbolizes the values we don't stray from, the ones that we stand by no matter what anybody else is saying. It's because Taurus has that foundation of inherent values that they build from. They are the true builders of astrology, whereas others may stray away from it, others may be too sporadic and too easily distracted. Taurus is able to really buckle down and get what needs to be done. They are all about building lasting systems, building lasting relationships. Everything is built to last, and they have no problem dedicating themselves to that endeavor of building something to last, going for the long haul, as long as it aligns deeply with who they are. Number 2, Taurus pursues, builds, and indulges in what they deem valuable and what ignites their heart. Taurus is heavily associated with the goddess energy of Aphrodite, symbolizing feminine abundance and sensuality. A lot of this also stems from the fact that they are ruled by Venus. Venus is the planet that is associated with aesthetics, love, relationships, art, etc. This connection to Venus and being a feminine earth sign is often what connects them heavily, more so to their passions and to their heart. Whereas the other two earth signs, Virgo and Capricorn, can be a lot more practical, logic minded. Taurus is the earth sign that can blend practicality with soul, heart, and artistry. They often express their heart through something tangible. For example, they might be the type to process heartbreak through creating a specific playlist or even creating their own music. They probably love to play instruments or they love to build instruments. They can be, again, the builder. A lot of Tauruses might find that they process things well or they showcase their heart very well through crafting things or building certain things, maybe building home decor or being an interior decorator or being an artist of any kind, really. Taurus sees the world through a lens that a lot of us don't see the world through, especially in terms of being an earth sign. And if they feel strongly enough about what they see, it all channels itself as inspiration for them to create something. It doesn't have to be something artistic when it comes to Taurus. It can absolutely be a more logic-minded route for the Taurus. My point is that everything at the end of the day is connected to something that has touched their heart and touched their soul in a much deeper way. This is really what drives them forward, and it comes from that Venusian energy. Taurus is connected to everything physical and material on a sensual level. The earth element is connected to everything tangible and helps keep Taurus grounded in the physical, whereas signs such as Pisces or Sagittarius can easily get whisked away by the intangible. However, Taurus is much more connected to the sensuality behind the physical realm, meaning they are connected to the senses. This goes back to the Venus feminine rulership that they have going on, but it connects them to the physical senses. Tauruses are known for having sensitive stomachs, having something about their body that is sensitive to external stimuli, maybe to something that they ingested into their body. A lot of times they have to be very careful about the way that they treat their bodies and what they do to their bodies. A lot of Taurus can be very meticulous about how they take care of themselves internally and externally for this reason, but it's also because they have such a strong connection to their senses, that they have such a strong connection to pleasure. And again, it is pleasure that tends to drive them. Alongside what they feel is valuable on a deeper internal level, they also go after what feels pleasurable to them. And this isn't in the same way, again, that Pisces and Sagittarius might get whisked away by things that they think are fun or dreamy or otherworldly. It's not like that. A lot of times Taurus can remain grounded, but they do believe that they want and deserve life's comforts, the pleasures that life can bring them. And that is another driver of why they build the things that they build. They have a continued connection to their senses, whether they're immersed in music and they love creating music, whether they're a painter, whether they're a sculptor and they do things with their hands. Things that ignite the senses really ignite the soul of a Taurus. This is actually something a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to Taurus. A lot of people just think, oh, this is like just an earth sign, you know, they're like the most stubborn earth sign there is and blah, blah, blah. But one thing about Taurus that is not really talked about is the way they can almost walk the line between the physical and the fantasy realm. Usually when we think of this dichotomy, we think of Pisces, but when it comes to Taurus, they are again heavily ruled by the Venusian feminine energy. This feminine Venusian energy that they carry keeps them connected to their inner pleasures, and this rich inner world that they have that is connected to the sensuality of life. And when I use the term sensuality here, I'm not just referring to actual like physical pleasure and expression of that physically. I'm talking about how everything a Taurus does and everything they're connected to is connected to that inner sense of sensuality. If you've met Taurus or people with a lot of Taurus placements, there's probably a certain way they carry themselves or a certain way they speak, or even through the things they create or the way they express themselves, where they have some undeniable sense of magnetism that is heavily connected to that Venus energy. Even if they're a quirky, goofy Taurus, there can still be something magnetizing about them. And this is that connection they have, whether it's conscious or unconscious, to their Venus rulership, but also with their earth element. Being an earth sign ruled by Venus really connects them to that physicality, whereas someone who is further away from earth, such as a Pisces, can potentially get lost elsewhere and not be very physically present and not very physically in tune with their body because of it. Taurus is in tune with their body. They are grounded in their body, but simultaneously they are connected to that almost fantasy-like indulgent pleasure that takes them into fantasy realms of their own, and they often express it through things that they like to create in the physical. Number 4. This goes without saying, but they are the most steadfast, committed sign of the entire zodiac. Taurus is the fixed earth sign. When I think of fixed earth, I think of someone who is like a true mountain or a large boulder. Unlike the other two earth signs, Virgo and Capricorn, Virgo is the mutable earth sign, meaning that they have a more adaptable nature. They're better about changing routines or maybe pivoting the way that they need to. And Capricorn, being the cardinal earth sign, means that they actually value initiating, taking on certain paths and being able to take on obstacles, etc. Whereas Taurus, being the fixed earth, they are like a mountain. They're like this mountain that is grand and holds true to where it stands, and it is immovable. Immovable. Now, this is often where Taurus gets mistaken as very lazy and not able to embrace any type of change, etc. Don't get me wrong. Change is inevitably difficult for most Tauruses to face because Taurus can't help but again be connected to that Venusian comfort that comes with physical pleasure, and also with knowing that they're building something long term, something that is secure and stable. All of those things combined make a Taurus inevitably desire comfort and security in a way that is just not always possible because life is life. However, I believe this is also one of the things that makes Taurus so incredibly beautiful because of all the signs in astrology. They are the ones that are going to stick around when everybody else has left the room, when everybody else has given up, whether it's on a project, a person, a goal, whatever it is. They will stand true. They are not going to budge. They are going to hold tight. And just like a mountain, mountains often have a terrain that varies vastly. So if you're willing to actually traverse the mountain of a Taurus, the rewards are indescribable. They have so much to give. However, just like Taurus likes to invest and take their time investing for the long run, you have to also recognize that Taurus is an investment on your part as well. Most people are not ready for the level of commitment that Taurus offers them. I truly believe that this is one of the reasons that Taurus gets a bad rep for not getting out of their comfort zone and for being too complacent and stagnant. We live in such a fast society. Our society is all about quick gratification, the next thing, etc. And this is so opposite of Taurus nature. It couldn't be more opposite. And whereas a Taurus is going to stick by something and stand on business quite literally, other people are often ready to jump the gun and to jump ship. Whereas Taurus is standing their ground for better or for worse. Speaking of a mountain, I also can think of Taurus as a volcano. They can be quite volcanic. A Volcano is beautiful and grand, and people love to look at its wonders and everything, and it will stay docile for hundreds of years until it erupts and causes mass destruction. Taurus can get to that point because of everything that they tend to harbor, because they tend to stick to commitments maybe too long. So it is still important for Taurus to recognize and use their discernment on when to move on from something. However, this is not something about your nature to be ashamed of, by no means. For all my Tauruses watching this, I don't think that it's always you. I don't think that you should take the criticism of your slower moving, invested nature to heart. I think it's more so that this society just doesn't really run the way that is in alignment with your soul and the way that your soul functions. And that's okay. Nothing is wrong with that. Number 5, do not, I repeat, do not let their laid back exterior fool you. Just like the bull, which is their symbol, they have a slower moving, chill exterior with a wildly fierce and ferocious interior. Whereas the Taurus does love comfort, routine, pleasure, and prefers not to be bothered or stays out of things that they feel are a waste of their valuable time and energy, do not mistake their desire for slowness and peace as weakness. The reason I can't always compare a Taurus to a volcano is because people know when a volcano is a volcano. They know that there's a chance that it might erupt. And for a lot of people, they might think that Taurus will not erupt. They might not know that they have volcanic activity. They may not know that they're dealing with an active volcano. A lot of people can mistake a Taurus for being a very chill, laid back, accepting person. Not because Taurus is being passive necessarily. They don't have a lot of energy naturally, and they just cannot fathom dedicating their energy to things that do not connect to that feeling of passion, their soul, those inherent values that they stick by. Taurus, just like a lot of the earth signs, is very time oriented. They do not like to waste it. They only like entertaining what they have chosen to invest into. And they are very picky about what they invest into. So if somebody is bringing something to their door that they don't want to deal with, then a lot of times they will try their best to just shut the door and shut it out and ignore it until it can't be ignored any longer. So this can make them appear like they're passive, they're stagnant, complacent, and somebody can easily take advantage of them, or somebody can easily mow over them, thinking that they are not a volcano, thinking that they are a cow and not a bull with massive horns. This is the primary reason that Taurus is considered to have one of the nastiest tempers in astrology. But in reality, from the Tauruses I have known and from what I know about the sign's nature in general, if they're getting really mad, if they're pushed to something, it's often because something has pushed them to that limit. I'm not saying that for my Tauruses watching this that you shouldn't take accountability of what you may have been doing to contribute to your own explosion, but also for other people who are dealing with a Taurus, it is also important that you examine where you might be taking advantage of the Taurus's committed, slower, laid-back nature. Especially if you know that you're one of the people Taurus has invested into, you may be pushing their buttons by consciously or unconsciously taking advantage of their nature. Taurus is truly so committed to a fault sometimes that if you care about your Taurus, you have to take accountability too of what you might be doing to take advantage of their kindness and their emotional commitment to you. But because Taurus has this connection where they are deeply tied to their sense of personal integrity and emotional loyalty, it can be easy for all of that weight that they tend to harbor because they stay so committed and so steadfast. A lot of that weight that they harbor can actually become stuck, or it can cause them to eventually become emotionally explosive if they're not careful. Now for a couple empowering tips for anybody who has a Taurus sun sign, or if you know a Taurus sun. Number 1. Taurus must find ways to move their suppressed emotions and healthily transmute their connection to their darkness. A Taurus bottling their emotions is the number one way. The Taurus can become the earthquake or volcano that creates mass destruction, irreversible damage. Something else that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to Taurus is their connection to their dark side. When we think of the darkness in astrology, we often think of signs like Scorpio, Pisces, Capricorn. Nobody talks about the darkness of Taurus. I think we often forget that Taurus shares the axis with Scorpio. So Scorpio is Taurus's sister sign. They share a lot of similarities, but they're different expressions of each other. A lot of times, from all the Tauruses I've met anyways, they have a dark side. Majority of the Tauruses I've known have actually been very interested in darker things. And don't get me wrong, this depends a lot on the rest of the chart as well. But you can take Sabrina Carpenter, for example. She's a very famous Taurus. She balances the line between being very aesthetically cute and pleasing and pretty with having a very dark, horrific sense of humor, you know, and that she walks the fine line between the two. And I feel this is also very representative of the dichotomy I spoke about earlier in the video that nobody talks about when it comes to Taurus, how they actually can walk in two realms at once because of their connection to Venus, their connection to Scorpio, and their connection to the material realm. This inherent darkness that they can have is also another reason that they can struggle with their temper. They can struggle to figure out how to exactly process their emotions in a way that is healthy for them. A lot of Tauruses have the potential to get lost in that feeling of anger and frustration and resentment that can build within them. And because Taurus loves pleasure and comfort and stability, there can be a real rejection of this feeling of inner turbulence and inner stability that they may have. So because they can also reject it, they can continue to suppress it as well because they don't want to face it. It's not even that they don't want to face it sometimes, it's that they deny it. They kind of are like,
no, that's not an acceptable part of me, so I'm going to disassociate from it and pretend it doesn't exist.
But the magic of Taurus is that they are truly where you could say shadow meets light. Whereas there's a lot of darkness with Venus as well that doesn't get talked about, the darker side of the feminine energy and the feminine archetype, which is something I talk about a lot more in the dark side of the fixed signs video. If you want to go watch that, I will have it linked above for you. But Venus also has a darker side. However, Taurus is very much, again, the youthful energy. They're still associated with that very young toddler type energy. So Taurus has this almost innocent, sometimes refreshing energy. There's something about them that is kind of childlike, and they still have kind of a childlike wonder to their energy. And that gives them a sense of lightness. This is one of the things that can make them very likable and also seem very chill to other people. But it's where that light, that feeling, that youthful energy, that youthful vitality meets a sense of inner, deeper darkness coming from the Scorpio axis. It's where youthful joy meets mysterious emotional intensity. It's these two sides that can actually give Taurus a similar mysterious emotional intensity to Scorpio. This connection to the darkness, this connection to their inner turbulence, their inner world, if they don't reject it and they learn how to embrace it and channel it in a way that is healthy, they become fully empowered, because this is how a Taurus can be so magnetic. They become so magnetic when they stop just trying to be who they think they're supposed to be, because Taurus, again, can have a sense of duty, a sense of loyalty that is undying, that is unwavering. And whereas that's beautiful in so many ways, it is also important that they don't reject parts of themselves that they don't deem worthy of coming to the light. If they integrate their shadow and they integrate those emotions that they tend to reject, that is when, as a Taurus sun, you become fully empowered in who you are, in your soul. That's how you truly create something that is worthy of your investment and makes you feel fulfilled, is when you healthily integrate your emotions and your darkness. A lot of Tauruses will find that picking up things that they can do with their hands, creating some type of art with their hands, or spending a lot of time in nature. Taurus is an earth sign that needs to indulge in nature, frequently interact with the elements in order to maintain that groundedness. Between nature and transmuting things artistically, these are just two ways that a Taurus can potentially transmute their emotions. But at the end of the day, you know what's best for you. You know what you enjoy, so stick to that. These are just my recommendations. Number 2, Taurus must gently challenge their own comfort zone. Taurus may have a difficult time generating momentum in their lives due to stagnancy of staying within what they know and what is comfortable to them. They often want perfection or to know the exact path laid out when they pursue or create. And again, it goes back to being energy efficient. It's not that they're lazy, they're efficient with their energy and what they apply it to. But practicing detachment from the need for perfection or to know everything and practice certain things with zero expectation will be super beneficial for their mental health and regaining inspiration towards life. In the same vein, they need to practice the ability to be more open-minded and forgiving of other people with different perspectives, or even people that have maybe brought them constructive criticism of some kind. It could be a loved one, someone that Taurus deems very valuable. And I'm not saying that Taurus is never open to criticism or open to conversation with someone they love, but they can be very standoffish about it, especially at first, and especially if they haven't done that inner work. They don't necessarily love it. If you try to tell a Taurus that they might be doing something wrong or try to open them up to a different mindset or a different value, because they have that unwavering conviction to their own values and what they think is right or wrong, they can sometimes have a hard time grappling with what you're telling them. Regardless of what kind of Taurus you are, this is something that if you have not intentionally focused on it in your life, can really help open yourself up to more in life. Because the more that you're open to different perspectives and different paths and different values, different belief systems, the more that you can evolve as a human. The way that you potentially get stuck in stagnancy as a Taurus is if you are not open to these things and you consistently reject anything outside of what you prefer. My advice to you would be to try one small change daily, because things on the micro level are what really matters. So changing those little micro habits. Maybe you try one new food dish this week. Try a new podcast. Talk to someone with a different worldview and actually entertain their perspective and try to learn something from it. This is what will help soften that fixed mindset that you can unconsciously get stuck in and prevent stagnation at the end of the day. What traits did you resonate with the most, or how are you going to empower yourself as a Taurus sun after watching this video? Be sure to leave a comment down below so we can talk about it. I would love to hear from you guys personally. But until I see you in the next one, adios.